We will welcome back for the final one last story we're gonna say tonight. And again, just a warning for people that are listening and watching this. This is not for everybody. This story. So if you want, you can just shut it off right now for the rest of the Shiur Torah. Okay, so now this story, I'll tell you the source. It's in the Kav Yashar, chapter 69. That he brings down this very, very scary story on a certain demon by the name of Machlas. And he says it happened during the year. It says it's a true story that happened in the Jewish calendar year 5441 and 5442. It was in a city called Posen. And there was once a certain person that they had a cellar. And once a person went into the cellar, he just dropped dead. And they started seeing funny things happen with this cellar. And after 2 years after this death, there was certain demons were kept on coming back to this certain cellar, and it was not a cellar with an S, with a C, right? It was sort of like a basement type of thing. And they began to frequent it. And when people that lived there, what they started realizing is that if, let's say, they prepared food on the stove, when they came to change the food, they realized that it was filled with dirt, and the food was gone. And then they started seeing that things were like moving in the house, and they saw it moving. They started, pictures started falling down, lamps started getting pushed over, things were getting moved around the house in front of them, and they couldn't do it anymore. They're the owners of the house, so they started they're going to leave the house, and because eventually these demons kept on wandering throughout the entire house. Originally it was just like this basement, the cellar, and eventually they just went everywhere, drove the people out of the house. And so people moved elsewhere, and they hit this, and they still own this house. What are they going to do with this house? So they decided they're going to go and they try to bring some Gentile professional people that could get rid of these whatever spirits were going out, but it was no avail. It didn't help anything. So they came. There was a certain rabbi by the name of Rabbi Yoel Baal Shem, and he was brought to the house, and he bound these demons by oath. He used certain mystical names, and he bound them by oath. That they're not allowed to take. What are they doing over here? They're not allowed to take. They're not allowed to live in places that are habited. Right? These in the forest, that's where they belong, but they don't belong in people's houses. How did you get permission to go in here? So the spirits actually answered him back, and they said back, "This is rightfully ours, and we'll go to Adin Torah. Do you want to take us to court? We'll go to court." He says, "Let us take us to court because this is legally our house." So they agreed on a court date. They agreed on a court date 2 days later, and 2 days later they began the court, and suddenly they heard a voice. A voice was speaking to them without a form. It was coming from somewhere. They didn't see any body, any person, but a voice was coming through them, and the voice explained the story as follows. And he says that this house formerly belonged to a certain man, and they named this man, and he used to have relations with a certain female demon, and he brought into the world certain children from this female demon. And he also had children from his human wife as well. He was married, and he had this side affair. And this person was very, very much in love with this demon. And so much to the point, it says the Kav Yashar, that his soul was bound with her whole soul. They were together. And sometimes he was even obligated to stop his prayers and leave the synagogue in order to fulfill the wishes of this demon. And he says one time he was leading a seder on Pesach night, and the first night of Passover, and suddenly he just get up from the seder, and he left the house. So his wife was like, "What's going on?" He didn't say a word, and he just left. So his wife started following him. Where is he going? And he realized he went into a certain shed, and there was a crack in the shed, and she peeked in to see what he's doing. And she peeked in there, and she saw that there was a luxurious room. Outside looked like garbage, and inside it was a luxurious room that was filled with gold and silver, and there was bread. There was a bed over there with a covering. It looked extremely, extremely fancy, expensive, and beautiful. And in there she saw a beautiful woman. A beautiful woman that wasn't really clothed, and she saw this woman embrace her husband, and this woman, his wife got really scared, and she ran home, and her husband returned about a half hour later, and she didn't say a word. They finished whatever they were doing, and they went to sleep. The next day, this woman ran to the rabbi, and she went to the rabbi. The rabbi it came out to the rabbi Rav Sheftel, which was the son of the Shlah HaKodesh. So he went over to him, and the rabbi ordered this person to come. And he says, "Is this true? Are you having, some sort of outside type of, affair?" And he admitted, he confessed to it. So the rabbi went and wrote him an amulet, and in the amulet he contained, certain holy names, which basically prevented the demon from getting close to him. And that's how it was for the rest of the days. He wouldn't be associated with this demon. When he was dying on his deathbed, this demon returned to him. And she came and she started crying to him. She says, "How do you do this? How do you leave me? We have children. We have this. How are you going to just leave me with nothing?" And she started, hugging him and kissing him and, trying to get him to give her something. So he says he grants her and her portion, his estate. He had a certain estate and he gives it to her. And years went by after he died, and Poland was immersed in a war. right? And this war lasted from the Jewish calendar year from 5408 to 5418 for 10 years. And after the war, all of this person's children were killed, which means nobody was left to inherit this house that they, and so they went and the spirits started going and lived in that house. And they said, this house is rightfully ours. Our father owned this house. All his human stock died, so now this belongs to rightfully ours. So the current owner said, listen, we paid full price for this house. It's not, we bought this house. So they went over to the rabbi. This was brought up to the rabbi, and the rabbi Paskin, his finalized that the case was that the spirits have no case. He says spirits are not allowed to live in the habited areas. Doesn't matter who gave it to you and where do you get it from. You are not allowed to be over here. And he banished them to the outskirts of the town, which was the forest. And he says not only are you not allowed to go back into the house, you're not allowed to go back into the cellar, you're not allowed to go back there at all. And he bound them by oath, right, as only Kabbalists is able to do it, that they were never allowed to return. And the Kav HaYashar says, he brings down, he says, for here you see how much a person has to distance himself from immorality. He says, people think, okay, have some fun. You never know what's going on, right? There are so many things out there. This world is a crazy, twisted world, and sometimes it's more than crazy, twisted. And it's something that you do not want to get involved with at all. Says a person, says the Kav HaYashar, has to go and distance himself as far as possible, put gates and gates and gates and gates and gates, so that he wouldn't, God forbid, ever get close to such a situation.
This guy, he knew there was a...
He knew
He knew she was,
yeah.
He thought she was a...
No. He knew that she was not human. And he still, because when the rabbi confronted him, he said, it's true. It's true. So a person has to be very careful, right? Also, there's a good thing why we actually extended this, because what is the purpose of speaking about this, right? Why do we need to know about demons, right? Why do if there's no purpose, why do I waste an hour of your time, or whichever long we were here, about this information? But rather, I find this information very helpful. There are many people think that this world is this world and that's it. And the answer is there's a lot more to this world that you don't even know. There's so much going on in the world over here. There's so much things that are flying. There's so many spirits. There's so many demons. There's who knows what's going on over here in this world. Forget about the next world. And people are here, doing their sins, driving on Shabbat like nothing is happening. The person has to wake up and be, start realizing it's very dangerous out there if you don't listen to God, right? And it's not like a threat. As the Torah says, it says, if you follow my ways, tons of blessing. You don't follow my ways, there's a list of curses. It's as simple as that. Reward and punishment. It's one of the 13 principles of faith, right? There's reward and punishment in this world. People have to take in this as mind. There are people that have not sure if they should do tshuva, they should start keeping Shabbat. There's no clearer things than when they realize and how much stuff is going out on there, right? Just think about it. When you walk home tonight, think about all the things that are following you, right? Think about it. It's good. It's good to think about all these things. It's crazy. You might not sleep at night, but it'll wake you up to what's really out there. Right, to the fact, and you know what happens in the next world when you get out there? There's no pretending not to see anything, right? Everything is out there in the open. A person has to take this into consideration, take this into personal account, that your person has to do tshuva before it's too late. You don't want to come on a deathbed and then suddenly some old girlfriend comes over to you and says, hey, by the way, I was never a real stock. Guess what? You're mine, A person should stay as far away as possible from all these things, especially the sexual sins and any other sins that could lead to that. Any other questions? Okay.